Hi campers, good morning and welcome to another video. I hope you're all doing well. As you can see, I'm back out on the Brommy. It's good to get her back out on some mud, but I've got to be honest and say it was I've done a few miles and it was a bit of a slog getting here. It's quite hilly. The road work, riding on the roads was absolutely fine, but when I got off road, these tyres do not like the mud or the wet and slippery trails, so yeah, might have to give her a bit of a rest for any winter camping trips, because I'm waiting until this sort of spring arrives and the trails get a bit better, and we'll get some better tyres for it. But she got me here, so you can't say fairer than that, can you? Otherwise it was all good. The other issue was me, of course. Today's the 27th of December. 2 days of several days of food, drink and excess, and I'm feeling a little bit sluggish for it today, I won't lie, but such is the way. It's good fun nonetheless. So I'll take a seat. Oh, there we go. My plan, I was going to come out on a camp today. I have a camp up here tonight, but I wasn't really feeling it, if I'm honest with you. Tomorrow's a work day for me. Today's a bank holiday in the UK. Tomorrow's a working day for me. Unfortunately, I've not got time off between Christmas and New Year. And if I was going to camp up here tonight, I'd have had to rush around in the morning, packing up super early, so I can get back for work. And I wasn't really up for that, and I've had not really well prepared for today either. So I thought, sod it. Been off the camp. Just come up here for a bit of a cycle and a bit of lunch, and just potter around the woods for a few hours today, and then I'll cycle back home later on. So yeah, I've got a few bits packed. I've packed the bike fairly heavy just for the sake of giving myself a bit of a beasting. But I've got a Plash Palatka poncho with me, which I'll put up in a minute, I think. And some turkey sandwiches. It's got to be done, isn't it, on just after Christmas? Got to have some turkey sandwiches for lunch. And I've got some warm food to have as well, because it is a bit chilly today. But I think first and foremost, I'm going to get the tarp up and then get a brew on, and I'll bring you back in a bit. Bye for now. Got some exciting news, folks. Got a new tea strainer. Treated myself, because the last one was good, but it used to leak loads of tea leaves. It wasn't sealing properly, so I saw this one and I thought I'd treat myself. Just slide that up there. You put your tea into the little chamber and slide it back down, and pop it in your cup. So let's give it a whirl. Yorkshire tea, as always. Go quite strong because it's Christmas, you know. go. Simple. Cheers. I have to say, my little tea infuser worked a treat. Lovely. Lovely. I think my mate Chris might turn up in a bit. He said he was going to come up here whilst he was on his dog walk. So he might pop up in the video soon. But I hope you all had a nice Christmas break and didn't get too drunk and too bloated on food. And here's to a happy new year. So over the last few days I've spent a little bit of time reflecting on my camping year, if you will, and thoughts for next year and what I want to do. And I think this year I've kind of coasted a little bit through the year in terms of the camping. I've sort of been taking it easy, just chilling out, not really pushing myself very much in terms of developing skills and crafts and what have you. So next year I think I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to keep doing my camps, kind of keep going out once a month. But what I think I'm going to do is just test myself a bit more, take myself out of my comfort zone a little bit. Maybe do some more minimal kit camps. Continue to push down the sort of waste and cut down on plastics. I think that's still a really important thing to do. My family very kindly gifted me a voucher for Joe O'Leary's Wilderness Survival School, so I'm going to be doing a course down at his place this year. I've not yet decided what course I want to do yet, so I'm having to think about that at the minute. Definitely want to do a sort of long distance hike or cycle camp on the Brompton, one or the other. I've got a couple of options that I'm thinking about at the moment down here in the southeast that I'm looking to do at some point during the year, probably when the weather gets a bit better and days get a bit longer. But that's something else that I'm really keen to do. Want to do another camp down on the moors, maybe even get to visit Dartmoor this time, because when I go down to Cornwall, I'm not a million miles away from there. It's probably a 45 minutes or so drive to get there. So that's probably worth a visit next year, I think. But yeah, then just carry on working on crafting skills. I enjoy that. And I've got a bit of a hankering to do a sort of DIY project as well next year. Maybe making a tarp, something like that. My wife's got a sewing machine, and so I might nicely ask her if I can have a go on it, or if she can help me. That'd be quite cool to make a nice sort of polycotton canvas sort of tarp to take on future camping trips. That's another idea that I've got bubbling around in my head, and I'll try and bring you along for some of those things as well. And by saying all these things on camera right now, I'm sort of very mindful that I'm potentially making a rod for my own back, and I do that with my eyes wide open, in the anticipation that this will give me the kick up the backside that I need to push myself a little bit more and take myself out of my comfort zone. So don't be afraid to remind me about that later on in the year. But yeah, that's just a few thoughts on what I want to do next year. Yeah, and I'm sure other things will arise as and when as well. So yeah, let me know what you're planning to do next year, what you're sort of planning to do in terms of camping and whatnot. Chris over there, his dog Bear. Hi campers, welcome back. Let's adjust my grip there. So I've been offline for an hour or so, just chatting with Chris. He's been here with his dog whilst he's out on his dog walk. And then whilst I've been chatting, so I've got the fire going in the honey stove initially, but then I've just put it on the ground because it was struggling a little bit on the honey stove. The wood's a little bit damp and it wasn't getting much airflow to it. So yeah, it's just getting going on the ground now. I'm just going to keep it nice and small. Just got some water on for another brew. And then I've got some sandwiches as well. I've got a nice bit of turkey sandwich, leftovers from Christmas dinner. So I'm going to get that in my belly, I think. Got a nice bit of turkey stuffing and cranberry sauce. So my wife got me this lovely little open L knife for Christmas. This is the carbon bladed version, and I think what I'm going to do with this is make it a sort of whittling knife. There we go. It's the number 8 open L. They're really great little knives though. I've got a stainless steel version as well at home. I fancied having the carbon version as well, just for a nice sort of simple whittling knife really. And, it's like a little scalpel, it really is sharp. The only thing with the carbon blades, you have to look after the blade quite a bit, make sure they don't go rusty. So I shall give this some attention when I get home. But it needs a little strop, I think, just to finish it. But yeah, really nice knife. I think there's a lot you can do with these knives, so it'd be good to have a little play with them. Yeah, folks, just letting that fire burn down now. Got another cup of tea on the go. Nice herbal tea. There's not an awful lot left of that fire. Just letting it burn down to ash. And I've got another litre of water. I've got another litre and a half of water that I'll probably douse that with and make sure it's fully extinguished. But yeah, there you go. I had plans to come up here and do some stuff, do a bit of crafting and whatnot. And the sum total of my efforts is a stick. I've just whittled a little bit, which is crap. But it was nice to play with the knife, the new knife in any case. So I enjoyed that. Enjoyed a bit of lunch, a few cups of tea, chatting with Chris. So will I put this out on YouTube? I'm not sure yet. I think it might be a bit too boring a video. But we'll see. I'll see how it edits together and cuts together. But this sort of sums up a lot of my year, to be honest with you. I've sort of come out with grand intentions of doing things and whatnot. Ended up just sitting on my arse, being a bit lazy. But yeah, must do better next year, I think.
been a funny old year though for me, really, and my wife. We've had a bit of a crap year, if I'm honest with you. We've had some health issues. My wife's not fairly poorly, and I've had some head issues, to be honest. Earlier this year I got diagnosed with ADHD, which came as a bit of a surprise to me, to be honest with you. I went into the process of sort of getting a consultation with a specialist because I thought I was autistic, because I've always felt that I don't really my sort of thought patterns and the way I operate aren't quite the sort of the norm for society. I've always thought I was a little bit different in the way I think and act, and I thought, yeah, it's autism. And it turns out in my assessment that, yeah, I've got some very strong autistic traits, but what they actually ended up doing was following it up with an ADHD assessment and coming out to say, yeah, actually, we're diagnosing you with ADHD. And when I looked into those symptoms, everything started to make a bit of sense for me. The best way to describe ADHD is as though your head never stops, so your mind never stops working. Your head's always going a bit overdrive, and it kind of feels a lot like you've got about half a dozen TVs blaring out in your head constantly. It's very hard to switch them off and just focus on the moment. There's a number of other factors as well as all sorts of symptoms, but that's the one that causes me the most problems, to be honest with you. It's just being able to focus on things a bit more efficiently and effectively. And I got that diagnosis earlier on this year in the summer, and I haven't really done an awful lot about it. I've just sort of accepted it and moved on and not really confronted the issue, and that's part of my problem at the moment. I think I need to deal with it. I need to manage the symptoms a lot better, and the various issues I have with it. And a lot of that is about being a bit more open, I think, talking to people a little bit more, telling them when things aren't alright for me, and getting outdoors and getting some fresh air as well, getting active, getting some exercise down. So I think there's often a bit of a preconception with ADHD. I certainly had it before I got diagnosed, that it's an issue that it's a bit of a non-issue, that people like to brand as naughty school kids and what have you, but it's actually a bit more than that. You know, I'm not running around like a headless chicken. The hyperactivity is going on inside my head constantly. It's constantly racing. But yeah, that's a big challenge for me next year, I think, just confronting that and doing something about that. Trying to manage the symptoms a bit better, because I was offered medication for it when I was diagnosed to deal with it, but I refused it because I know the symptoms are really crap. It can make you quite poorly, and medication is just not going to deal with the issue. It's a psychological issue, and so they're just going to plaster over cracks. They're never going to deal with the issue. So I thought best of it and try and find other ways to deal with it. And that's kind of where I've not really done anything really. And that invariably, in the long and short way, in the long way around talking about this matter, is that often is why I end up going to a camp with grand plans to do this, that and t'other, and end up sitting on my arse doing nothing, because I can never gather my thoughts properly and focus myself as I would otherwise wish, and that becomes quite frustrating, quite depressing, to be honest. But hey ho, thought I'd get it off my chest. Whether that gets into the edit, I don't know. We'll see. There we go then, folks. Cleared up the fire scar. Left no trace as always. Got the bike packed up there. Big Brompton bag on the front. I carry most of the stuff. some bits and bobs on the back. Quite liking the way it loaded up this time actually. So probably in the spring I'll bring that back out again for some other camps. Lots planned for that next year. Looking forward to it actually. It's going to be good. It's going to be good fun. But I'm going to leave it there for now. And I've just got you on charge at the moment. There we go. Thanks for watching. It's probably been a bit of a boring video, so I apologise for that. But it was nice to get out after the Christmas festivities. And I'll bring you back for the next one. So I wish you a happy new year. Don't get too drunk. Have a good time. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.